All right, so now we're going to move on to the point where we're going to analyze the three mysteries. So we saw the tic tac, we saw the race down that hill, and then we saw the people interacting and talking about, hey, we can get energy from the sun and make this battery spin, and then the battery spinning, and then we can send messages back to Earth. Wild. So we're going to open up OneNote really quick. And usually I'd have you guys kind of think of a way to analyze this, but you're not here. So it's going to kind of go ahead and do a little bit of analysis, and then hopefully y'all can watch, and then it makes some amount of sense. But so one way that we analyzed kind of changing situations before was via our LOL diagrams. So even though these cases are a little bit weird, we can still draw and think about LOL diagrams for these cases. So if I'm looking at this case, we have the tic tac. This is my drawing of a tic tac. I'm kind of proud of it. I shaded it, no big deal. So what we had is this tic tac, and at the beginning it's spinning, and that's our situation A. And then B, we have it kind of at some higher height. So first I'm just going to define my system like we did before. I'm going to analyze everything about the tic tac, and I'm going to analyze stuff about the Earth, and I really just want the interaction between these two things. One thing, yeah, no, we're good to go. So point B is a little bit easier. So if I'm thinking about what energy I have at point B it's at its highest height, so I don't have any motion. And at point B, it's at its highest height, like I just said. So we do have our gravitational potential energy and nothing else, it looks like. We don't have a spring and no thermal energy that we're going to worry about. Sure, maybe it lost a little bit of heat over here, but we're just going to say who cares. And then in situation A, if we're looking at it, well, it's at a lower height. It's going to have less gravitational potential energy. But where did this extra energy come from? We see, hey, over here, I'm going to highlight it, we have more gravitational potential energy than we did, go away keyboard, than we did at this point. And before, when we had this discrepancy, we said, oh, well, work was done on our system. We had some sort of outside object forcing our object over some distance. But in this case, we don't have anything from the outside forcing our tic tac. And we may be saying like, hey, we have like some kinetic energy maybe, but if you think about it right off the beginning, the actual tic tac itself isn't like moving around. We don't have like any motion. Oh, I can actually pick it up and move it. Or not that one, this one. This tic tac is not like moving, right? We said kinetic energy was for things that were moving all over the place and like translating. But we don't have that. We just have this thing spinning. So that's kind of weird. But I don't know, maybe we can define some sort of new quantity. Let's call it like a rotational kinetic energy, because we definitely have that motion. We have this thing moving. It's just not moving like we saw before. So maybe we can define some new quantity to kind of help us figure out like, hey, this thing is making some sort of sense. This LOL diagram, now it's resolved. It works out that this plus that equals what we have on our other side. So maybe that's one way that we can kind of resolve this first mystery. Let's see, how do I stop this?